Forget the silent ruins you see in museums today. Forget the broken columns and weathered stones scattered across modern Rome. We are traveling back to the year 125 AD. The Roman Empire stands at the height of its power. Across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, millions live under a single government. At the center of that vast world stands one city unlike any other: Rome. A city of nearly 1 million people. A city of marble temples, crowded streets, and engineering wonders that would not be matched for centuries. At the heart of the city stood the Golden Milestone, the point from which thousands of miles of Roman roads stretched across the empire. The famous saying was more than a proverb. All roads truly led to Rome. From Britain to Syria, from the Rhine to the Sahara, people, goods, and ideas flowed toward this extraordinary capital. The Emperor Augustus once claimed, "I found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble." By the 2nd century, that vision had become reality. Temples gleamed in the sunlight. Public squares overflowed with statues painted in brilliant colors. Markets displayed treasures gathered from 3 continents. This was not merely a city. It was the center of a civilization that changed human history forever. Today, we will walk through its streets, stand among its rulers, and discover how Rome became the model for the modern world. Because even after 2,000 years, Rome still surrounds us. Our journey begins in the Roman Forum. This was the political center of the ancient world. Foreign ambassadors arrived here, seeking favor. Generals celebrated victories here. Laws affecting millions of people were debated within sight of these marble monuments. Every path through the city eventually seemed to lead to this place. Walking through the Forum meant walking through the stage upon which Roman history was written. Julius Caesar once addressed crowds here. Augustus shaped the future of the empire here. Cicero defended the principles of Roman government here. Nearby stood a building whose influence would reach far beyond Rome itself. The Curia, home of the Roman Senate. Within its walls, senators argued over war, trade, taxation, and law. Many ideas that still shape modern legal systems trace their roots to debates held in places like this. The right to a defense, the importance of written law, the belief that justice should follow rules rather than personal power. Rome was not perfect, but it helped establish principles that continue to influence courts around the world today. Rising above the Forum was the Capitoline Hill. At its summit stood the magnificent temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, the most important religious sanctuary in Rome. Its shining roof reflected sunlight across the city. Travelers approaching Rome often saw its brilliance long before reaching the gates. To Romans, Jupiter's temple represented divine approval of their empire. Religion and government were deeply connected. The success of Rome was seen as proof that the gods favored its people. This confidence reached its peak during a remarkable era known as the Pax Romana. For generations, much of the empire enjoyed stability, security, and economic growth. Merchants traveled safely across thousands of miles. Trade flourished between distant provinces. Wealth poured into the capital from every corner of the known world. Yet, amid all this power stood one of Rome's most sacred symbols, the Temple of Vesta. Inside burned an eternal flame that represented the survival of Rome itself. Guarding that flame were the Vestal Virgins, priestesses granted extraordinary respect and privileges. Even powerful officials stepped aside when they passed. To Romans, they embodied the spiritual soul of the city. Together, the Forum, the Senate, the Temple of Jupiter, the Pax Romana, and the sacred flame of Vesta reveal the foundations of Roman power. Rome ruled not only through military strength, but through law, faith, order, and the belief that its civilization was destined to endure. But maintaining a city of 1 million people required something equally impressive: engineering. In the next chapter, we will discover how Rome built apartment towers, global markets, massive roads, and water systems that transformed the ancient world. A city of 1 million people could not survive through power alone. It needed homes, food, water, trade, organization. And Rome delivered all of it on a scale the ancient world had never seen before. As the population grew, the city faced a challenge familiar to modern societies. Where do you put so many people? Rome's answer was surprisingly modern. The city built vast apartment buildings, known as insulae. Some rose 6 or 7 stories above the streets below. Families, merchants, craftsmen, and laborers lived stacked above one another in dense urban neighborhoods. The streets between these buildings formed busy corridors filled with conversation, trade, and movement from dawn until nightfall. In many ways, Rome resembled a modern metropolis more than an ancient city. But housing was only one piece of the puzzle. Rome was also the center of an enormous trading network that stretched across continents. Walking through its markets felt like traveling across the known world. Silk arrived from China. Spices came from India. Ivory arrived from Africa. Amber traveled from northern Europe. Goods from distant lands filled the stalls and warehouses of the capital. At the center of this commercial activity stood one of Rome's most remarkable achievements: Trajan's Market. Built into a hillside, it contained multiple levels of shops, offices, and storage spaces. Many historians consider it the world's first shopping complex. Citizens could purchase everything from everyday necessities to luxury imports gathered from across the empire. The wealth of Rome was visible everywhere. Yet none of this prosperity would have been possible without the roads. The Roman road network was one of the greatest engineering projects in history. More than 50,000 miles of carefully constructed roads connected distant provinces to the capital. Among them, none was more famous than the Via Appia. Known as the Queen of Roads, it demonstrated the precision and ambition of Roman engineering. Built from layers of stone, gravel, and concrete, these roads remained durable for centuries. Many modern highways still follow routes first established by Roman surveyors nearly 2,000 years ago. The roads allowed armies to move quickly. They allowed merchants to transport goods efficiently. Most importantly, they allowed an empire spanning 3 continents to function as a single system. But Rome's greatest engineering triumph was not found on the ground. It flowed above it. Water. 11 massive aqueducts carried fresh mountain water into the city every day. Some sources lay more than 50 miles away. Yet gravity alone moved the water across valleys, hills, and plains with astonishing accuracy. The result was a city unlike any other in the ancient world. Public fountains stood throughout Rome. Clean drinking water flowed freely for ordinary citizens. To visitors from distant lands, the sight was almost unbelievable. This abundance supplied another institution that Romans loved: the public baths. Places like the baths of Trajan were far more than bathing facilities. They were centers of social life. Citizens could swim, exercise, read, attend lectures, meet friends, or simply relax. Libraries, gardens, heated pools, and works of art transformed these complexes into public palaces. Even ordinary Romans enjoyed comforts that many kings elsewhere could only dream of. Roads, markets, apartment towers, aqueducts, baths. Together they reveal the true genius of Rome. The city did not merely conquer the world. It mastered the challenge of urban life itself. But Rome's rulers wanted more than efficiency and prosperity. They wanted spectacle. They wanted monuments so vast that visitors would remember them forever. And nowhere was that ambition more visible than in the arenas where Rome entertained its people. In the next chapter, we will enter the Colosseum, witness the excitement of the Circus Maximus, and discover how entertainment became another expression of Roman power. If Rome's roads demonstrated its efficiency, its entertainment demonstrated its confidence. At the heart of the city stood a monument that still captures the imagination of the world today. The Flavian Amphitheater, better known as the Colosseum. To modern visitors, it appears as a magnificent ruin, but in the year 125 AD, it was something entirely different. Its exterior gleamed with bright travertine marble. Statues filled the arches of its upper levels. Thousands of citizens streamed through its entrances beneath banners fluttering in the Mediterranean breeze. The structure was a masterpiece of organization. Capable of holding between 50 and 80,000 spectators, it was one of the largest entertainment venues ever built in the ancient world. Yet size alone was not its greatest achievement. Efficiency was. Visitors carried ceramic tickets marked with specific entrances, seating sections, and seat numbers. The system was so effective that crowds could enter and leave the building in remarkably short periods of time. Even many modern stadiums operate using principles that would have been familiar to Roman engineers. But Rome understood that comfort was just as important as organization. Above the spectators stretched one of the most extraordinary features of the arena, the velarium. This enormous, retractable canopy shaded much of the audience from the intense summer sun. Operated by sailors from the imperial fleet, it required a complex network of ropes, masts, and pulleys. It was a remarkable blend of naval expertise and architectural innovation. Rome had mastered engineering so completely that it could reshape the environment itself for the comfort of its citizens. Inside the arena, spectators witnessed displays of courage, discipline, and martial skill. The gladiators became the celebrities of their age. Their names were known across the empire. Their victories were celebrated by enormous crowds. To Romans, these men represented qualities the empire admired: endurance, determination, and strength under pressure. Yet the Colosseum offered more than contests. Hidden beneath the arena floor was a sophisticated system of elevators, platforms, and trapdoors. At a moment's notice, scenery could appear seemingly from nowhere. Exotic animals emerged from underground chambers. Entire landscapes could be transformed before the audience's eyes. The arena became a stage where Rome displayed its ability to command not only people, but nature itself. And impressive as the Colosseum was, it was not the largest venue in the city. That distinction belonged to the Circus Maximus. Stretching through a vast valley between Rome's hills, it was the largest sports stadium of the ancient world. More than 150,000 spectators could gather there at a single time. Imagine nearly a quarter of Rome's population packed into one arena, united by excitement and anticipation. The atmosphere must have been unforgettable. Here, Romans gathered to watch their favorite sport, chariot racing. The races combined speed, strategy, risk, and spectacle. Teams identified by colors, greens, blues, reds, and whites, earned passionate followings throughout the city. Citizens argued over victories, celebrated champions, and supported their chosen teams with incredible enthusiasm. The most successful drivers became superstars. One of the greatest, a racer named Diocles, accumulated a fortune so enormous that its modern equivalent would be measured in billions of dollars. Rome rewarded excellence on a scale few societies could match. Running through the center of the Circus Maximus was a decorated barrier known as the Spina. Upon it stood monuments brought from conquered lands, including obelisks transported from Egypt. These monuments carried a message understood by everyone who saw them. The ancient kingdoms of the world had become part of Rome's story. The empire displayed its victories not only in military triumphs, but in everyday public life. Overlooking the Circus Maximus rose the Palatine Hill. This was the district of emperors. The very word palace ultimately derives from this hill. From here, rulers such as Augustus, Trajan, and Domitian governed an empire stretching across 3 continents. Their residences were not simply homes. They were cities within the city. Marble halls, fountains, gardens, and magnificent views surrounded those who sat at the center of Roman power. From their balconies, emperors could look in one direction toward the Forum, where laws were made. In another direction, they could see the Circus Maximus, where the people gathered. They stood above both politics and spectacle, ruling over the greatest city of the ancient world. But behind the splendor of Rome's arenas and palaces lay an even greater secret. The empire's true strength came not from entertainment or wealth, but from innovation, knowledge, and organization. In the next chapter, we will uncover the engineering, technology, and institutions that allowed Rome to dominate the world for centuries. The greatness of Rome was not built on monuments alone. Behind every temple, every road, and every victory stood a system designed to endure. A system powered by engineering, knowledge, discipline, and innovation. Nowhere was that more visible than on the Palatine Hill itself. The imperial palaces were among the most luxurious residences on Earth. Rare marble arrived from distant provinces. Elaborate gardens filled courtyards with fountains and sculptures. Gold decorated ceilings and walls. Yet some of the most remarkable features were almost invisible. Roman engineers developed sophisticated heating systems known as hypocausts. Hot air circulated beneath floors and through walls, warming entire buildings during winter. In summer, fountains and flowing water helped cool the surrounding spaces. Comfort itself had become an engineering project. Within these palaces, emperors discussed philosophy, literature, diplomacy, and military strategy. Rome valued culture as much as conquest. Protecting the rulers was an elite force known throughout the empire, the Praetorian Guard. Handpicked from among Rome's finest soldiers, they served as personal protectors of the emperor. Their polished armor and distinctive cloaks made them instantly recognizable. To citizens, they symbolized authority. To enemies, they represented the power of the state itself. Yet perhaps Rome's greatest technological achievement was not found in its armies or palaces. It was hidden within the walls of its buildings. Roman concrete. Modern engineers continue to study it today. Made from lime and volcanic ash, this remarkable material possessed extraordinary durability. In some environments, it actually became stronger over time. While many modern structures require constant maintenance, Roman buildings have survived earthquakes, storms, and nearly 2,000 years of history. The ultimate demonstration of this technology still stands in Rome today: the Pantheon. Built during the reign of Emperor Hadrian, it remains one of the greatest architectural achievements in human history. Its massive concrete dome is still the largest unreinforced concrete dome ever constructed. For nearly 2 millennia, architects have admired its perfect proportions. At the center of the dome is the oculus, a circular opening to the sky. As sunlight moves across the interior throughout the day, the building seems almost alive. The Pantheon was more than a temple. It was a statement. A declaration that mathematics, engineering, and beauty could exist in perfect harmony. Rome's achievements were not limited to construction. The city was also a center of learning. Public libraries stored works written in both Latin and Greek. Students, scholars, and officials studied the ideas of philosophers, historians, and poets. Writers such as Virgil, Ovid, and Livy produced works that would influence Western culture for centuries. Knowledge was considered a source of power. Rome invested in preserving and spreading it. The same practical mindset shaped Roman medicine. Military hospitals treated wounded soldiers using surprisingly advanced techniques. Doctors employed surgical instruments that would look familiar in many modern operating rooms. Scalpels, forceps, probes, and specialized tools reflected centuries of accumulated experience. The Romans also understood the importance of sanitation, clean water, and public health. A healthy population meant a stronger empire. And protecting that empire required the most disciplined military force of the ancient world: the Roman legions. These were not temporary armies raised during emergencies. They were professional soldiers trained for years, well-equipped, well-organized, well-supplied. Each legionary carried standardized weapons and armor designed for efficiency and reliability. But their true strength came from discipline. Roman soldiers fought as coordinated units rather than individual warriors. Their formations allowed them to withstand enemies across vastly different environments and battlefields. Yet the legions were more than fighters. They were builders. Engineers in uniform, they constructed roads, bridges, fortifications, and camps wherever they traveled. A legion could arrive in unfamiliar territory and create an organized military base within hours. Where Roman soldiers went, Roman infrastructure followed. And wherever Roman infrastructure appeared, local populations became connected to a larger world. This ability to integrate conquered peoples may have been Rome's greatest strength of all. Citizenship became one of the empire's most valuable rewards. Regardless of birthplace, many people across the empire could eventually become Roman citizens. Citizenship offered legal rights, protection, and social status. It transformed former enemies into participants in the Roman system. For centuries, this strategy helped hold together one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. But even Rome could not remain unchanged forever. The city would soon enter a new era, one that would reshape its identity and leave an even greater legacy for future generations. In the next chapter, we will follow Rome through transformation, decline, and the remarkable survival of its influence long after the empire itself disappeared. No civilization remains unchanged forever. Even Rome, the greatest city of the ancient world, would eventually transform. Over the centuries, new beliefs spread across the empire. Among them was Christianity. What began as a small religious movement gradually became one of the most powerful forces in Roman society. Temples that once honored the traditional gods stood beside Christian churches. Old traditions faded while new ones emerged. Rome adapted once again, proving that its greatest strength was not simply power, but resilience. As Christianity expanded, many familiar landmarks acquired new purposes. Buildings that had served political or religious functions for centuries became part of a changing world. The city evolved, yet it never lost its importance. Even when emperors shifted their attention eastward and Constantinople became the political center of the empire, Rome remained a symbol unlike any other. Its prestige endured long after its position as the capital diminished. Then came the centuries of crisis, political instability, economic pressure, external invasions. The Western Roman Empire eventually fragmented under these challenges. Cities declined, trade networks weakened, borders became harder to defend. Yet something remarkable happened. Those who entered Roman lands did not simply destroy Roman civilization. Many admired it. The kingdoms that emerged from the empire often adopted Roman laws, Roman administration, Roman architecture, and even the Latin language. In many ways, they wanted to inherit Rome rather than erase it. The empire fell, but the idea of Rome survived. And that idea remains visible all around us today. Consider the alphabet used across much of the modern world. Its roots lie in Rome. Consider the 12-month calendar that organizes modern life. Its foundations are Roman. Consider the concepts of Senate, republic, citizenship, contracts, and written law. All carry the influence of Roman institutions. Walk through cities such as Washington, Paris, London, or countless other capitals, and you will see Roman ideas expressed in stone. Columns, domes, arches, public monuments. The visual language of authority that Rome perfected continues to shape governments around the world. Its influence extends beyond architecture. Languages spoken by hundreds of millions of people trace their origins to Latin. Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Romanian all emerged from the language once spoken on the streets of Rome. Even English contains thousands of words derived from Latin. In a very real sense, Rome still speaks every day through the words we use. Yet perhaps Rome's greatest lesson is not found in its monuments or its language. It is found in what the city proved possible. Rome demonstrated that human beings could organize vast populations, build enduring infrastructure, and create institutions capable of shaping history for centuries. It transformed scattered territories into a connected world. It showed how engineering, law, commerce, and culture could work together to support civilization on an unprecedented scale. And despite thousands of years of change, Rome still has secrets waiting beneath its streets. Archaeologists continue to uncover buried structures, forgotten artifacts, and new clues about the people who once lived here. The story of Rome is not finished. Each discovery adds another chapter to one of humanity's greatest achievements. Few civilizations reached such heights. Ancient Egypt left behind monumental pyramids. Greece transformed philosophy and thought. But Rome combined engineering, law, administration, and urban life into a system that influenced the world more completely than perhaps any civilization before it. That is why Rome remains unforgettable. Not because it conquered the world, but because it helped shape the world that followed. Standing among the ruins today, it is easy to forget what Rome once was. A city of 1 million people. A center of law, engineering, commerce, and culture. A place where innovations developed 2,000 years ago still influence our lives today. The empire itself disappeared long ago, but its legacy never truly ended. Rome survives in our governments, our cities, our languages, and even the roads we travel. Its story is a reminder of what humanity can achieve through vision, organization, and ambition. And Rome was only one of many extraordinary civilizations that shaped the ancient world. If you enjoyed this journey through history, be sure to subscribe and join us for future explorations into the greatest cities, empires, and wonders ever built. Until next time, thank you for watching.